Welcome back, Og Enjoyers. With Season 1 right around the corner, I just wanted to do a little tips and tricks video of things I've learned over playing the beta and figuring out where we can rescue, where we can cauterize, where we can dispel, things like that. Now, I play Og, but this isn't necessarily Og specific. A lot of the utility that Og has, Evokers have in general. So it's not locked just to Og, but I do find that Og has more windows to utilize some of these rescue grabs and things like that. So it's not just for Og, it's for all Evokers. Let's get right into it. So the first one is Pit of Saran. Now they have these mobs called Plunge Talon Gargoyles. They are going to grab one of your players and pick them up. Once they grab them, you need to DPS the gargoyle to break that shield that you see there, and then they'll drop. But if you're an Evoker and you see that Talon icon, you can select them, rescue them straight down, good to go. No need to worry about it. They do keep the shield, but at least you can get back to fighting and you're not going to have to break off to save somebody who's in the gargoyle. Next up, we have Mesara Caverns. It's the duo boss. They cast an ability called Infected Pinions. You can see it coming in right here, and it's going to dot the whole group. And this is primarily the damage that you see in this fight. There's really not a lot of damage on it, but everybody gets this dot. And as you can see, I just cauterized myself immediately and took it right off. Now, preferably you probably cauterize your healer, because like I said, there's not a ton of damage in this, and the healer takes care of himself and then takes care of the party. If you remove this from him, he doesn't have much to take care of on himself. He can focus on healing the party. So I do recommend cauterizing the healer, and you can get this, I think, almost every one, if not definitely every other. Now, right after this boss, you have the mini boss over here, and the mini boss is going to grab somebody. It's going to lock them onto that tomb over here on the right, and you're going to have to damage to break them out of it. You can rescue them out of it. Another use for rescue. Now, you're going to see the warlock get grabbed, and I want to show that if you click on the mob up there and try to rescue, you will get no path available, invalid target. It won't work. You need to go to the left here and see that little almost Sinister Strike icon. Select the person from your unit frames, rescue them down. Comes right out of it. Don't need to worry about killing the thing. Now, this one isn't really like an Og or Evoker tip. This is just something that I think people should know, and I feel like it's like a 50-50 right now on if people know. So when he does this big breath, this roar, and he knocks you back into a ghost form, there's mobs that you can interrupt on the way back, and each one you interrupt gives you a speed boost and a damage boost. So you want to interrupt as much as possible. You can CC them. Wing Buffet doesn't quite reach from the ring, but you can do a upheaval if you really want to, if you feel like there's not enough CCs to get them all. We get them all here, and then you see 150% damage increase. So well worth it. All right, now we're on to Windrunner Spire and the Derelict Duo. Now, there's a couple of mechanics they have, but the one we're focusing on for this is Debilitating Shriek. When this happens, Callus will teleport to a part of the room, and Latch will start getting ready to hook. Now, you want to take whoever's targeted, and they got to go behind Callus, and then when he hooks, it's kind of like Necrotic Wake. He's going to hook her, pull her back in, and then you keep going. There's a lot of stuff on the floor, and some people get out of position. This is a really good spot to keep your eyes open for where people are, who's getting grabbed, and utilize rescue. So you can see right here, Debilitating Shriek goes off. She's off in that corner in the back, and then you see the person right in front of me is the one who's targeted. Now, they might not see it. They might not know. They don't want to cross that path. So I'm going to grab them and bring them right over behind Callus. Right, there we go. Cast goes off, hooks, good to go. And like I said, the stuff on the floor can get kind of restrictive. So again, this is another one where we probably didn't need to do it. We probably could have just killed, but I grabbed the warlock who can't get across anymore, and I just rescue him all the way there. And again, hooks it, good to go. So this is a situation to keep your eyes open for some rescue value. Now we have the last boss of Windrunner, and there's some like weird stuff with how Evoker works with hover and casting spells, especially things that are like categorized as a channel, but they're not. But you'll see what I mean here. So when she does this, she jumps across. You need to use these arrows that are all over the screen to get knocked up when that's coming underneath you. As an Evoker, you can get knocked up, hover over it. That way you don't land back in a pool or anywhere near a pool. But the thing is, if you have hover going, when you get knocked up and you try to cast, or when you try to glide, I'm saying, while you're casting, you won't glide. It won't break your cast because hover lets you cast while moving. So it's going to finish that cast before it lets you glide, which can have you come straight back down into something that you don't want to be in. So when you see this, I'm going to go back just a little bit, and you're going to see that when I go up in the air, I cancel my eruption and glide. And then I go right back into it, and you're good to go. So yeah, just a word of the wise, if you ever get knocked up for something like that and you have hover going and you try to glide and you're like, why can't I glide? It's because you're casting and you have to cancel your cast to hover. So that kind of that might help in general in other dungeons too, but this is a spot where I noticed it the most, where I would try to glide and be like, oh, I gotta cancel the cast. Now coming straight down isn't necessarily a bad thing, because you can move out of that circle before it explodes, but if you hit one early and you need to glide over, because now you're going to land right in that line, you have to cancel your cast. So it's just good to know in case, you know, you tap something a little early. All right, this is just a kind of I guess an honorable mention, but Windrunner Spire has a ton of mobs that bleed, poison, dot, do all these crazy things, and you get a lot of value out of your poison cleanse and your cauterize. For example, here we have a bunch of axe throwers, we have 2 bleeds, and we have 2 more bleeds coming out right away. So bam, that person just got it reapplied to them. But you can have a scenario where you have a lot of bleeds out, and I go cauterize my healer, he's able to take care of everybody, and it makes it a lot smoother. So just keep your eyes open. You get a lot of value out of cauterize and your poison dispel in Windrunner, kind of more so I think than the other dungeons. But another point right here. So when Germinate finishes and they branch out, everybody gets this dot. So you're gonna see Germinate goes, we finish, blah blah blah, going in a circle, and then he's gonna branch out and everyone's gonna get this bleed on them. This is another bleed you can cauterize. You don't need to, because I'll show you here, I'm gonna jump forward a little bit, that once you kill the ancient branch, she's gonna put this green circle, and that's gonna cleanse everybody. But if somebody's out of position, somebody makes a mistake, they're not in the circle, maybe you don't kill it fast enough and Germinate comes back up and you have to move out of it, you can cauterize that and take it off of somebody. So again, it's not something that you're going to use every single time that goes out. I mean, you can if you want to, but it's more of having that in your back pocket to help save the group. And I think that that's what a lot of Evoker utility feels like to me, is like you have stuff in your back pocket to save people. Now, at the end of Their Academy, right the steps right in that corner, right in that top right corner, once you get over there, you're gonna go, you can go up and see, like, right where we're on an angle. So you usually go up and you go right. If you come over here, you can actually jump, glide, and see how the demon hunter just did it. If you try to rescue somebody up there, it won't work. It'll just say you can't use that or invalid path. So you have to yourself get up there first. So you see I tried going on a mount, doesn't work. But if you double jump and then hover, you can get up there, and then I grab my warlock comes up, now he can gate. I don't know if this is something that's going to be used a ton, but it's something you can do with a warlock if you want to gate. If somebody has the mount that you can stack people on, you can pull people up that way. And then if you have a druid in your group, you can wild charge. So this is just a little skip tech that we might see, depending on how percentages look, what you need to pull, if you can afford to skip it. We had 88%, skipped it, and still got our percentage, so it's definitely doable. I don't know, like I said, I don't know how often or if this is going to be like a primary skip. Probably going to depend on meta, on what classes you have in your group and things like that, but it is available, so I wanted to point it out. Oh, this is something that I didn't really notice until I started playing classes that don't have glide, like my boomkin. So right here, you go to the library, you can just jump and glide over all of these circles. And I try to avoid them, but if you notice right in the very beginning here, we're gonna go back a little bit, you're gonna see that I jump right over this one, and right here, I just go right over it, and it doesn't teleport me back. There's probably a height level that you need to reach, but you can just glide over it. And when I started playing boomkin, because I'm playing boomkins for splits, I noticed that area sucks. So I wanted to point that out, that you can just hover it, you can just glide it, hover, and clear that whole area without having to worry about it. It's just a quality of life thing. All right, now Gemalist. He breaks up into 3 different things and then 6 different things, and you have a bunch. If you have a class that has like some good like split dots and they're hitting everything, I try to eons and hit as many targets as possible, and then the little split damage that gets kind of tacked around to mobs that maybe aren't right in the pit, it will still trigger an eons pop for. It's not a huge damage increase, but they all share health, so any kind of damage is good. As long as you're not putting yourself in like a bad position, I try to hit as many targets as possible. As you'll see here, I'm going to do a deep fly. That one way in the back, probably not going to get much love, but you see this guy on the left here, he's going kind of out of the way. They're kind of splitting up, and you'll see my eons is right here. You're going to see an orange number pop up on this guy. See, the 52,000, that's the eons pop. And then you have 52 over there. So you have a couple different spots where it's popping off, and if you do hit more targets, it'll hit on all of them. So just keep that in mind. Don't go through just the main guy, because if you can hit all 3 of these that are right on screen, you can just go through all of them. They're all gonna pop, and it's gonna give you a little extra value out of it. All right, on the last boss, you get this place that gets split into quadrants, which means, you know, you don't have a lot of room to maneuver. So how are you going to fly? If you're playing scale, you can go in and curve around, or if you're playing chrono, you're going to want to do something like this. I do this on scale too. Go right up in front of them and then turn around. You know, if you're chrono, you put the line out. If you're scale, you just fly straight out, but it will hit him. You don't need to go through him for it to hit. As you'll see here, as soon as I take off, Eons hits him. So you don't need to go through him in order for that to happen. You can just go kind of close and go right back out, and you're in a decent position. Plus, you kind of sit on the back end of that anyways to make sure you can see your circles. So for this guy, you don't need to fly through and then try to maneuver your way back. Just fly from the center out. It makes life a hell of a lot easier. All right, next is Scithe the Triumvirate. These guys put a little circle on you that knocks you up when they finish casting. Pretty straightforward tip. If you hover, it does not matter if you get knocked up, you don't stop your cast. So I'm hovering, I get hit, you can keep casting. That's kind of a little one. That's kind of a given. But I wanted to point it out because if you are getting knocked up and stopping your cast, especially as scale commander, if you're losing your ability to extend ebb and might and stuff, it's actually kind of punishing. So make sure you're hovering when you have the circle on you. Even if you have to save one for it and do some other movement, I think it's worth it to be able to get that cast all the way through, because if you do get hit and it stops, you do have like a travel time of up and down. So just make sure you got to hover for it. Now on the boss right afterwards, Viceroy Nazar, he's going to do these tentacle things, and then he will eventually teleport to the center, knock everyone back, and you have to run back. Great time to grab somebody for a rescue. I grab this rogue, I bring him back in. He goes after the tentacle, which he didn't need to, but if you see somebody who maybe doesn't have their movement ability, or maybe they got knocked kind of far and you can see that they're struggling, rescue them in. Keep your eyes open for stuff like that. Time Spiral is also really good to use there, because anybody who maybe just did their movement ability, you can Time Spiral, give it back to them, get them back to the center. So this is just, again, one of those things that you just have it in your back pocket. You see somebody struggling, you can pull them back in and save the day. All right. And then the next one is the final boss of this dungeon. At about like 60%, I think it's when you knock out all of these like little floating symbols around there. She's going to start casting Symphony of the Eternal Night. And once she's done casting that, she's going to get a 200% damage amp. It's not during the cast, it's right after. You'll see me mouse over it in a second. So that goes off, and then right there, I'm going to mouse over it. You'll see damage taken increased by 200%. This is probably the only boss that has a damage amp that it's worth saving your Eons for. I tried getting my Eons out on pull, and I didn't quite have it up back into it. That might change as key levels go higher. This is only a 12, so maybe in some of the higher keys, you might see that you can get one out at the beginning and get one out for the damage amp, but I think you definitely want one for the damage amp. So I saved it on other ones. A lot of people will lust the damage amp too, so I don't think you lose too much value saving it out of that first half, to be honest. Like I said, once you get to a key level where you can get both of those out, definitely worth it. But when you're starting off and you're doing the lower things, the 10s, the 12s, whatever it may be, I recommend just hanging on to it. There's other bosses that have damage amp. Croth has a 75% damage amp in Algathair Academy, but it's only 75%, and it comes kind of late in the fight, so I don't think it's actually worth saving Eons for. I don't think the value is just enough. But for this boss, 200% damage amp and when people are lusting is actually really, really strong. So I wanted to point that out too. Okay, now we're on to Skyreach, and this is something I found out playing around in the beta. I don't know if this is something that's going to be very commonly used or used at all, but you can pull the mobs from the boss platform from the starting zone if you swap to Spatial Paradox. Now, Spatial Paradox gives you a 100% increased range on most of your abilities, and also lets your healer cast while moving. So this is something we used back in Mist of Tirna Scythe, where we would double jump, fly, pop it, and you would pull somebody through the wall. And it's kind of the same concept. So if you take Spatial Paradox, you can go over here, you can jump on this little ledge right here, double jump onto this little pop out, and then you pop Spatial, you double jump, you spam Azure Strike, and you hit it, and it will pull the mobs down. Now, the mobs don't go around all the way, they pull through this way. So it's a way to get a few extra mobs without pulling the entire platform. And like I said, I don't know if it's going to be used. I don't know if it's something that's going to be prominent, but the only issue I can see is the gate for Mythic Plus is in front of that ledge. So you have to wait for the gate to come down to do it. So in the essence of time, maybe it's not worth it, but you can pull like 2 or 3 extra like kind of important mobs into that first Lust pack, and we might see some of that. We might see that happen. But I wanted to point it out because I thought, you know, it's an interesting way to do it. You can also rescue people up there. So if you could rescue, you know, theoretically you could rescue a tank up there and he could do something and then jump back down, which is a little bit quicker than doing the spatial paradox trick. But again, little tech that we may or may not see. I didn't see anybody do it when I was playing on beta, but I don't think anybody knew you could do it. So we'll see if this happens, but cool little fun tech if it does. Next, after that first Lust pull, you have the second pull. These Dread Ravens cast Dread Wind, and it's going to hit you and send you back. Now, as an Evoker, you have Glide, you get hit, you just glide right back in. If you do not have Glide, you get sent off the ledge. So this is another spot where we pull out Rescue out of our back pocket. We keep an eye out for who's getting marked, where they are, and if they're going to get sent to Narnia. So over here, this Warlock, he gets targeted. Now he has his teleport, but for example's sake, I grabbed him anyways. So he's going to get that arrow on him. He's going to get blasted by Dreadwind. And as soon as he does, I just yank him right back to the platform. So keep your eyes open. This is the kind of stuff that I think is really fun about AUG, is being able to see something happening and make a play for it. Now, like I said, he could get back on, the Demon Hunter could get back on, but if you have somebody like the Druid who got hit, they're just going to get sent. If you get even your tank, typically is going to get sent out of there unless they can get a jump back, but even then it's risky. So just keep an eye out for who's going to get knocked off the platform if they don't move, and give them a save. Now, this first boss class, Gale Surge, and it's kind of similar to the previous stuff. It's going to hit you, knock you back, and put a tornado in your place. Because you can take that hit and just glide back in, you can position these tornadoes in a really good spot. So, for example, here, I get targeted. I'm going to maneuver my way through these tornadoes, and then you see I get the arrow on me. So I'm going to take this kind of right to the edge here, take a hit, hover back in or glide back in, and good. You can set them really nice and out of the way for people. You can get very, very close to the edge because you can always glide back in. Doesn't matter how close you are to the edge, you'll always get your glide back. So that's a nice way to keep those tornadoes away from everybody. Now this one is kind of risky. It's a little dangerous. You have to fight this wind to get all the way through. You got to go around, then you got to go in there, and then you got to go up these stairs, all fighting this wind. Now you can grab somebody and rescue them, but if they don't know they're going to get rescued, they might run right into a tornado, similar to this guy right here, who I take him in there. He wasn't ready for it. He gets knocked. And now I don't have a rescue to save him. So it's a nice way if somebody's having a hard time doing it, then you can grab them and rescue them. Or you can tell, hey, I'm going to rescue you up the stairs. Like, just be ready for it. If you're in comms, you can tell people. I haven't had anybody die yet, but it is risky to just grab somebody who's not expecting it. But it also is really nice to be able to take somebody up here, because once you're up here, you can channel this thing, and the more people that are channeling it, the quicker it falls apart, and you don't get that wind anymore. So bringing somebody up there is nice. Just be careful with it. All right, now on the last boss, there is a thing called Cast Down, where it's going to grab you and it's going to start taking you to the ledge. Typically, you do what I did right here. You run into the center, everybody cleaves that guy down as he's dragging you out, kills him, get you out of it. You don't need that to happen for you. You can let him carry you all the way out. Honestly, if you have hover up and ready to go, then you can just run to the edge. He's going to take you, drag you out here, and then just start spamming your spacebar. He's going to hover, boom, and you're in. You're right back in. So as soon as he drops you, you glide, hover, and you're back on the platform. You don't need people to come break off and start fighting him for you. And it makes it so like when you get split up, you don't have to worry about split DPS. Everybody can just focus the boss. You can even tell people before the fight, don't worry about me if I'm grabbed. I can just hover back on. So nice little tip for Skyreach. And that's about it. I kind of want to do these as the season progresses, and if there's any other fun little tricks that we can do, then I want to highlight those. But for right now, this is just some tips and tricks I picked up along the beta that we can you can use to get the most value out of your utility. And hope you guys like the video. Until next time.